You guys ready?
Yeah,
Here we go.
Ready.
94.5 Cool FM. It's the Niko Show. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you the team that put together this brand new movie that we're very excited about, Blinded by the Light.
Woo!
Welcome, guys. All right, so we have Gurinder Chadha, director of the movie. Aaron.
Co-writer and producer.
Oh, there we go. Add some more titles on there. I love it. Aaron Phagura. I'm sorry, guys.
Yes, that's good.
Your names are interesting,
That's
and you
good.
probably went through this your entire life in school. They were like, Sarfraz Manzoor?
Sarfraz Manzoor. We should have done this before we got on air, shouldn't we, really?
No, I think it's much better when it's natural.
Yes, okay, fair enough.
And Aaron here, my lovely cast member, is named after Elvis Presley, in fact.
Yep. Elvis's middle name. My mum's
Elvis
obsessed.
Aaron, right.
Yeah, so my mum's just obsessed with Elvis.
So it's kind of ironic that you're in a movie all about music and rock, and that's kind of cool. How did your mom feel about the movie?
Oh, she cried when I got the role. She was more happy than I was, like, because she was actually originally a massive Gurinder fan, and so,
I am too, FYI.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I got the audition, she was like, no, you got to get this. You got to get this. I want to meet Gurinder. I want to meet her. and then after I got the role, I actually got her a little extra part on the thing. So
Whoa!
there was one time when my mum told me this story, and they was doing the protest scene, and everyone's meant to be serious, and Gurinder's like straight face everyone, and my mum's just there smiling at her, cheesing. And my mum goes, and my mum's still smiling, and G goes, you're still smiling, and she goes, yeah, I'm Aaron's mum.
She's a proud mama.
happy.
That's what
Yeah.
my mother would do too. She'd be walking around the catering. My son is in this movie. That's so cool. I was actually up for that part also, but I'm not Pakistani nor English.
I can see you in a turban.
All right. We'll see what happens. All right. So how did you guys, the dream team, come together? Obviously, you have a history in movie making. You seem like a relatively new actor. I'm sorry, I don't know your credits, but it seems like an amazing culmination of some great people.
Well, Sarfraz and I have been friends for quite a long time, and we became friends because we both shared a love of Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, nice.
And we thought we were the only Asians in Britain who were Springsteen fans. And so we used to meet and talk about him all the time. And then one day Sarfraz said, I'm going to write a memoir. And so he wrote a book about growing up in Luton and how Bruce Springsteen kind of saved his life, actually. And I read the book and said, wow, I know how to turn this into a great movie, but we can't do anything without the boss.
Right.
We need
That's
Bruce.
a big sign off right there.
Yeah, covered my tracks.
What was that like? Did you make a phone call, or how did that come about?
Well, lucky for us, this was in 2010. Bruce was coming to London for the premiere of his film The Promise, and I got invited to the premiere. I ditched my husband and took Sarfraz as my plus one.
Nice.
And we both were stood on the carpet with our hands in our mouths almost, because there he was walking the red carpet.
Right.
And we both had our cameras on, our flip cameras at the time, and we were waiting as he walked past. We would take pictures of us both in the same frame as him. So it was serious fandom at that point.
Yeah.
But Sarfraz had come with a copy of his book, and at some point he was hoping he could slip it to him, and I was hoping somehow that we could do, a movie deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the book had been published. It's called Greetings from Bury Park, and the book had been published in 2007, and it was about sort of growing up in England in the 80s and having Springsteen change my life. And I'd seen him up to that point around about 120, 130 times in concert, and I'd been at the front a lot.
Wow.
So I'd flown over to the States to see him. I'd been to see him in Europe. And I used to camp out overnight to make sure I was at the front. So I saw him, and so he would recognize me quite a lot when I was at the front, because there weren't that many people who looked like me in the front row. And so he'd always point at me and smile at me or whatever. And so I knew that he knew who I existed, but I didn't have any idea about whether he knew about the book. So that's why I had the book with me. And then in 2010, at this screening, I take the book with me, and my heart's pumping, and Gurinder's filming, and I'm filming. And then he walks along, and I'm trying to catch his eye. And then he sees me, forgets everything he's doing, ignores everybody, slowly walks towards me and says, "Hey, how you doing? I just wanted to tell you I really loved your book."
Oh my god.
So
And then Sarfraz died on the spot.
exactly
On the spot.
On the spot. Sarfraz started hyperventilating, had a meltdown, and Bruce was really cool. You know, Sarfraz was going, "Oh my god, how did you find the time to read it? Who sent it to you?" And Bruce is like, "Oh well, people send me things, and yeah, you know." He was like,
Wow.
And meanwhile, my head was going, "This is it. This is the moment. You got to do the deal. What are you going to say?" And I just thought I would try and be very cool, but it came out very uncool. And I just said, "Bruce, I'm Gurinder Chadha. I made Bend It Like Beckham. We really want to make a movie of this book. Please, will you help us? We need your support." And he sort of looked at me and he looked at Sarfraz and he said, "Sounds good. Talk to John." And behind him was John Landau, his manager.
Wow.
And we both, Bruce walked on.
Yeah.
Thinking, "Oh my God, who are these two?" And then John Landau said, "What are you guys talking about?" And we talked about the book, and we were completely in shock at that point. But we exchanged numbers and kept in touch, and that's really how it all started.
And then there was a
Amazing.
photograph that was shown later of John Landau walking into his hotel, and he had his
With
book.
the book.
And I was like, okay,
Boom.
well, that's the door opened at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And then 9 years later, you made a baby called Blinded by the Light.
Yes.
That's amazing. I wanted to talk about the movie a little bit. I haven't seen it, but I get the premise of it. Obviously, it's a young boy, a lot of social pressure to fit in, and he's like, you know what?
He wants to do something different.
Exactly. I want to speak through the words of Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Coming from an immigrant family myself, you know, I can only imagine the pressure from your family to be a hard worker and always do the right thing.
Yeah.
And this
Not
kid
let
who's
us down.
trying to find his way.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the story of your life, and obviously
Yeah.
it turned out okay. How do your parents feel about it now?
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's like with I think the thing about the story is that it's very specific, as in it's very inspired by my true story. But at the same time, it has this real universal aspect because basically all kids want to try and make their parents proud in some way.
Right.
And parents want to make sure that they don't forget. So often, parents say, "Don't forget where you came from, and this is our history, and this is our thing." And so it's about how do you follow your own dreams, but at the same time not completely burning your bridges with your parents, and that's such a universal kind of story.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think with my parents, it's like, to be honest, they never really quite worked out what I do because they kind of think that if you could do a job anywhere, because I'm a writer, they're like, it's not the same.
It's not a
as
real
clocking
job.
In,
Yeah.
And like even now, if I ever appear on TV, my mum's always just like, you haven't bothered shaving. Your shoes look really, really shattered and broken. Do you know what I mean? So she's still into this whole idea about people are watching and you're letting us down.
Yep. My father to this day hears me on the radio and doesn't know what I do.
Right.
Niko, they pay you to talk on the radio. This is a job. I'm like, yes, father, it is a job.
Is he
'Cause
French?
he's been
Is he French?
Greek. Oh, that's good. I like that. Yes.
I think it's a very universal story because it is that moment where you realize you have different dreams to your parents.
Right.
Our story is set in 1987. So it was also quite a tricky time for a lot of young people because Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister, Ronald Reagan was the President. There was a lot of unemployment in Britain at the time, and a lot of young people felt that they had no future, So we captured that in terms of the 80s in Britain, and it has quite a lot of resonance, in terms of what's happening today too. Because at that time for us, one of the saddest things was it was the rise of the right wing National Front Party. And so that really affected our lives, although we wouldn't be defined by that. We still had a lot of joy in our lives, but there was always this spectre that someone would hurt you or spit at you at any time. And so the film does have that undertone too, and it's surprising how resonant that is with today in England and in all kinds of places in the world.
And the other thing it's got, which is, it's about a kid who loves Bruce Springsteen, but it's really just about what is it like the first time you hear music that absolutely speaks to you. And that's something really interesting. So I'm on Twitter and somebody tweeted me to say, I watched this film and I loved it because it reminded me of how the Smashing Pumpkins changed my life. Or somebody else will say, oh, for me it was David Bowie. And it's just that thing that when you're a teenager and you listen to music, it hits you in a way that it's never the same, even in your 20s or your 30s. That
true.
moment when you're in your teenager and you listen to music and it feels like it's really speaking to you. And what Gurinder's done brilliantly in this, there's a moment where the Javed, who's the boy, he listens to Bruce for the first time. And it's just like, it feels like the first time you've heard a great song. It's just such a brilliantly creative sequence.
Yeah.
And my mate who introduced me to Springsteen, I sat with him to watch it, and he said, you know what? That scene reminded me of the first time I listened to Bruce.
Wow. That's an amazing moment. And I'm sure it was super emotional. I can't wait to see it, guys. Now I have to see it right now. Can we do a
August
private
the
screening?
16th.
August
Do you want us
16th.
to act it out for you right now?
Please do.
Please, can you?
Aaron, I need you to introduce me to Bruce Springsteen. Come on, let's play it out right now. What do I
Bruce
need
is
to
the
be listening right
direct
now,
line to all
Aaron?
that's true in this world, Niko.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Bruce is the direct line to all that's true in this world.
That's his line.
Bruce fan?
That feels good.
That's amazing.
I lived in New Jersey for a long time,
Okay.
so I feel the power of Bruce, especially on the East Coast and in New Jersey, especially.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's God over there.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like I went down to Asbury Park and
Okay.
we did the whole Bruce Springsteen
Did you go to
thing.
the Stone Pony?
The Stone Pony at
Yeah.
the Asbury Park, and it's great. It's it's very, very powerful. It's a powerful musical area, and Bruce is amazing.
And
And
the amazing thing is that he writes about Asbury Park in New Jersey, but that stuff touches people all over the world. You know,
It's true.
not just in Britain, all over, whether it's in Italy or France, Germany. And so he's talked about his hometown and made it completely universal
that's cool.
for people all around the world. And I think what we're trying to do with this story is it's about Luton, it's about a town in England or whatever. But actually, in the same way that Bruce has universalized his experience, this story hopefully will touch people no matter where you come from.
Nice.
So a question that I have for you is, growing up, why was it that it was Bruce? What about his music and his lyrics? What was it exactly that set him apart for you from every other artist?
Okay, well, the way to answer that is that before this, I was listening to Foreigner and Heart and Bonnie Tyler.
Heart. You remember Heart?
Do you remember that?
I do know.
Heart,
Yeah.
I just died in your
that was
arms
cut-
tonight.
that was Cutting
Oh, that was
Through.
Cutting Through.
Heart was.
Oh my God. What was Heart?
Alone.
Go for it. Carry on. That was
What was Heart again?
Go for it.
Oh gosh.
And all I wanna do is make love to you. Do you remember that?
Go on, Saf.
I know. My God. Can we edit this
bad.
out? Can we edit that song out?
So you said Heart?
Absolutely
who else?
not.
Foreigner. I want to know what
Foreigner.
love is.
Tyler.
Bonnie Tyler.
Total
Total
Eclipse
Eclipse
of
of
the
the
Heart.
So basically,
Yes.
Total
fantastic,
Eclipse of the Heart.
fantastic music.
What was the Foreigner one?
I want to know what love is.
Oh my
Come
God.
on. I want to take a little time.
I want to know what love is. I want you to show me.
You are an amazing director.
I want to know is how the ratings plunging at this moment. So anyway, the point about it is this music was
Gonna
fantastic.
take a little time.
It's fantastic, but completely pointless. I mean, it means absolutely nothing. And so then you listen to Bruce, and the guy's talking about growing up in a town that he doesn't like. He's talking about not getting on with his dad. He's talking about wanting to grow up and live in go to the promised land of his dreams. And I grew up in a town which was voted the crappiest town in the country. So when he sings, it's a town full of losers and I'm pulling out of here to win, that stuff speaks to me.
Wow.
So basically, his words were not trying to pretend that the world didn't exist. They were talking about how to actually live in that world. And it just felt like it really connected to the life I had.
Amazing. Guys, Sarfraz, Gurinder, Aaron, thank you so much for stopping by. Blinded by the Light is the movie. It's coming out August 16th. It's going to hit the theaters. And this is, I don't want to blow up your heads at all, but this is one of those movies I feel in my gut that's going to be the next huge secret that no one checked out until it blew up. It's the next Big Fat Greek Wedding, damn it. It's the next Bend It Like Beckham.
Would you like us to sing you out on a Bruce song?
Yes, please.
Should we sing Dancing in the Dark?
Okay.
Okay.
No.
Go on then, you do the intro. You do the intro, Niko.
No. My musical.
In the evening, and I
Ring
have
nothing
to say. I come home
in the morning.
I go to
You're
bed,
losing viewers by the second right now.
anyway.
Oh, it's over.
I ain't nothing but tired.
We're singing this
I'm
ship.
just tired, bored with myself.
Self.
Hey there,
Hey there, baby.
I could use
Just a little help.
You
Can't start a fire.
You
Can't start a fire without a spark.
This gun's for hire.
Even if we're
Dancing in the dark.